What is up, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the United States. I am getting ready to go for a walk, but before I do, I need to set my phone down for just a second because, hold on, I need to get a battery pack and a lightning charger, so bear with me here. Let me, no, that one won't work. Okay, I've got a lightning charger, a big, huge battery pack. Put that into my pockets here. Make sure I have my wallet with me. Okay, got that going. Hello, Frank Lipsky. Welcome, sir. Put my women's isotoner gloves on that I thought for sure were going to be super warm. But the other morning, my fingers were freezing when I walked outside anyway. All right. I had to... happy Thanksgiving, Frank. I had to, oh, you know what? Hold on. I have another idea. Because I don't want to hold my phone like this. I'm going to grab a selfie stick. And I'm going to grab an iPhone attachment. And I'm going to make this even easier on myself. So, let me come back over here. Hello, Elmer Lou. Or I should say Liu. I think, did I just pronounce that incorrectly? You made me order the Roland R-07. I didn't make you. You chose to do so. But dude, I love my Roland R-07. Just in case, I have mine right here in my pocket. I'm going to talk about that. The Roland R-07, my desire to use it, and my fear of doing so right now. I hope I don't mess up my phone and my live stream with hitting some buttons here in this case. Look at that. Okay. So I think my phone is secure. I got everything. Oh yeah, that's secure. And I'm hoping that wind noise won't be a problem. Let's see here. Do you have to upgrade my, no, you do not need to upgrade your R05. Trust me. All right. Okay, let me get outside. Bye, Jane. I'll be back in about an hour or so. Gonna get outside here for my walk. Let's make sure that, yeah, it's locked. All right. Okay, so I am ready to go out for my post-Thanksgiving dinner walk. Hello, Miguel. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And yeah, so I'm out for a walk to get some physical activity in. I didn't even check to see if the gym was open today because, well, after Thanksgiving dinner, I always just assume I'm going to go out for a walk anyway. And family's all napping right now, except for Jane. McKenna, Jane. Anyway, she's sitting at the kitchen table just doing some stuff. But she did not want to go for a walk with me. But man, what an incredible day. Just hanging out with the family. We had an awesome Thanksgiving dinner, turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, and some corn. That's all I ate today. And I didn't overdo it. I don't eat sugar anymore, so that's awesome. I don't have the normal sugar crash. It's kind of funny because last year I did eat plenty of pumpkin pie and all that other stuff, but no sugar for me. Anyway, yep. All right, so here's the deal. I have nothing prepared ahead of time to talk about except for the fact that there's one thing I want to talk about, and it is the fact that I want to create more content than I think my community can consume at this moment in time. Okay, so I love to share content. I'm a content creator. I feel my purpose in life is to create content, products, and services, and to connect with people by sharing what I'm experiencing in life, what I am learning, all of my successes, failures, the conversations I'm having, things that I'm reading, things that I'm studying, everything. I absolutely love to create content. And there was a period of time where, I'd love to vlog every day. And I thought and I did that for I've had several months where I've done that, several different seasons where more than a month, sometimes several months, I would create a video every day for my vlog, for my videos, for my YouTube channel. And, I do enjoy that, but quite frankly, there is a lot of work that goes into creating video content that, quite frankly, is more work than I want to do when it comes to creating content on a daily basis. And yeah, it's just, even though I have great routines, even though I have all of the gear, even though I have great workflow, all of that, even the shortest video, it is a lot of work to create that content. And one thing that I know is the longer that I talk or share in video form, the less likely the less likely that the majority of the people who would find it interesting are going to follow through that video all the way to the end. Don't get me wrong, there's always going to be the people in my community who have come to know, like, and trust me, who are desperate to hear what's Cliff up to today, what's he thinking today, and they will consume every piece of content, whether it's written, audio, video. It doesn't matter. They're gonna love that content, right? And so I know that because, well, I know several of those people off the top of my head who they are, and there are a couple content creators, very few, but there are a couple content creators that I'm that guy in their community. Father Roderick Von Hogan, he's somebody who, if he put out a video every single day on YouTube, I'd watch it. If he released a podcast episode every single day in his podcast, I'd listen to it. However, even in those circumstances, there are times in my life where I may not be able to keep up with this content. And I know that I would get overwhelmed by so much content coming through. And there are times when I'd rather actually just unsubscribe than to delete episodes that I'm not going to watch and just catch up with what's going on recently. And I've done that in the past. There have been times when Father Roderick would be creating more content than I could handle. But then I got to tell you, there are times where I come back and I'm like, okay, he's just not creating enough content for me. So I don't know. Everything's in seasons. Sometimes people come, sometimes people go, and all that stuff. But the reality is this. There are seasons of my life where I just want to record content a lot. I want to share a lot, because the more that I share, the more that I will personally grow. I learn most effectively when I'm teaching other people what it is that I've learned. Sometimes I'll be experiencing things in life, and when I create content about what I'm experiencing, it's the first time I may be thinking about these things that I'm experiencing. I may be processing it. I may even be moving forward and taking action and stuff like that, but it's not until I'm talking to others about what I'm experiencing and what I'm doing and what actions I'm taking and stuff like that. Sometimes it's not until I'm expressing it out loud to others through the content that I create that I really have breakthrough mindset breakthroughs, where all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, that's why I did that, and maybe that means this, and oh my gosh, as a result of that, I should probably do this. And I have major breakthroughs that benefit me, and I know that's beneficial to my audience. And that's just how I learn. I learn best when I'm creating content like that. Now, the question is where to create content. Right now, I'm recording this on Facebook Live. I'm out for a walk. I'm using a selfie stick. I've got my iPhone up on a little holder here, and everything's perfectly fine. I'm out for a walk. I love the fact that I'm able to do this outside of my studio. Sure, I could be recording what I'm saying now inside my studio. It would have much better audio quality. Production value, quote unquote, would be much higher. But the reality is that I'd be sedentary. I'd be sitting in my studio. And is it worth it sometimes to record and share what it is that's on my mind in my studio? Yeah, and sometimes I feel led to do that. But there is something beneficial about getting out and walking and talking while I'm creating content. When you're in motion, you feel differently. You process and think differently when you're in motion. And while the audio quality or video quality, depending on what kind of content you're creating, it may be different. It may be less quality production-wise. For me, I know what's going on, and what comes out is most of the time, almost always, so much more valuable. Now, I got to tell you, there are some times when I'm out and about, especially if I don't have anything prepared ahead of time. I don't know exactly where I'm going with what I'm going to share. I just want to start sharing. I just want to start talking. Kind of like what I'm doing here today. There will be the temptation, and I will tend to go off onto tangents. I will ramble, and that could be an ineffective use of people's time who are listening. But the reality is I think about my friend, Father Roderick Von Hogan. He has this show called The Walk. And it's very much like the podcast I used to have called Pursuing a Balanced Life. And it's just this audio journal format where he has a digital recorder and he's just talking. And you know what? Many times he'll just talk in a tangent, and I love it. It's kind of like, it's more than anything, I just love to hear his voice. I love to hear what he's thinking, what he's experiencing in life, what decisions he's making. Not that I need him to educate me, not that I need him to influence me to make the same decisions as him, not that I need to agree with him, but I just love hearing his voice. I love hearing how he's processing what's going on in his life. And there's just value in keeping me company throughout the week. You know, it may seem crazy, but when you're a self-employed business owner, life can be lonely. You can have the most amazing wife, you can have the most amazing kids, you can be involved in, have the most amazing peer relationships, but sometimes everybody has their own things going on, and you just want to hear a friendly voice of somebody that you know and trust and you love and that you're invested in because you've been following their content for years, that, you know, that stuff's valuable. And so that's what I'm talking about here, right? Now, the question is, what form of content? I love creating these Facebook Lives. Like, for example, right now, I see that Doug is on here. I've seen Elmer was on here. I see that Frank was on here. I see a bunch of people. And I love the fact that on Facebook Live, I'm able to see people pop in. I love the fact that right now I'm able to see people post comments randomly as I'm talking and sharing. I love the live format. Performing in front of an audience, virtually or in person, I love to perform in front of an audience. I love to create content in front of a live audience. Even if I'm creating that content and I'm not actually following the comments, which I do from time to time as well, but right now I am following the comments and I am following the notifications. Like Ingrid just joined. Hello, Ingrid. Welcome. But there are some limitations to doing Facebook Lives out and about. For example, I happen to know that with my cell carrier, there are certain areas because I know from experience where this Facebook Live will just drop. I've come to know where some of those are. And so I actually may choose to go right to the edge of my neighborhood here and turn around and just walk all the way back to the other edge of the neighborhood. And I think I'm going to do that now that I am thinking about it. Because if I was to go, well, I'll just wait till I get down here. But I can show you, I'm about ready to hit the highway that leads to our neighborhood. And if I go down this neighborhood, down this highway, let's see, can I do it this way? If I go down here for just 2 miles, right about 1.5 miles into this walk, I would lose you guys. Facebook would say, lost connection. You guys would get some kind of error message, broadcast interrupted. And that stuff is such it's a bummer when you're creating content and you're trying to connect with people and engage with them, which, I hate when that happens, but it is what it is. So right now I am deciding to create this content right here, right now on Facebook Live, which means that I'm tethered to a specific area that I know will continue to keep a good connection for my video stream. So I'm walking back and forth through, a certain area where I know I'm going to keep the connection, and that's fine, but it's not necessarily what I want. I want the freedom to go for a much longer walk. I want the freedom to go further out and just explore. But I can't do that and keep this live stream going and not have Facebook totally screw it up for me. Or my internet service provider, my cellular carrier, screw it up for me. So with that being said, I'm now tethered. Now, I could, however, I could have decided, well, why don't I just not go live? Why don't I just create video on my phone? I'll just turn on the video recorder, or I could have brought my fancier camera with higher video quality, better audio with my, shotgun microphone, all that stuff. I could have done all of that, and I wouldn't be tethered. I wouldn't need to worry about losing a live stream. I wouldn't worry about any of those things, and I could just go out and create. The reality is that is going to be wonderful. I could upload that to you. I could upload that to Facebook after it was done. I certainly could upload it to YouTube, and I may even, at the end of this live stream, choose to have my phone save this local recording to the camera roll and then upload it to my YouTube vlog later. And I mean, like I said, creating vlog, video content, sharing my thoughts or whatever, I love that stuff as well. And so, yeah, I may do that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this piece of content once it's done on Facebook Live, but chances are this will get uploaded to my vlog on YouTube. But again, video is not necessarily the most convenient, and it's not even the piece of content that really has the greatest reach for me personally right now with where I am in my reach, my community, my audience around the world. So let me explain what I mean by that. And by the way, I'm holding a selfie stick, which, puts the center of gravity way out in front of me. And even a light iPhone, after a while, your hand starts cramping holding this selfie stick. So this isn't necessarily comfortable. And, switching the camera back and forth and all this other stuff. The reality is there are some major drawbacks to the kind of content that I feel called to create most of the time. Video really it's not really the most advantageous. It's not the most beneficial for the kind of content that I most want to create. So, and not to mention the fact, I'll give you a perfect example of this. My friend Mark Mason, one of my best friends in the world, he does not watch. I've created, I don't know, over the last 3 months, I've probably created almost 100 videos on YouTube. And do you know how many of those videos he's watched? Maybe 2 or 3, and I don't know that he's actually watched any of them all the way through. Now, do you know how many episodes of my podcast that he's listened to? 100% of them. Now, some of my audio podcasts are in excess of an hour. Actually, these days, most of them are. Many of them running an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes. And yes, I've occasionally had an audio podcast that went to 2 hours. And you know how many of those he listened to? All of them. Do you know how many he listened to 100% all the way to the end? All of them. Now, I did just talk to him the other day. He's currently an episode or 2 behind on my podcast, but that's not anything to do with the content that I create. It's his schedule, the things he's had going on in his own life, but they're queued up and ready to go. And the thing is that's where a majority of my audience is. They're listening to the audio podcast called The Cliff Ravenscraft Show. Okay, watching this right now on Facebook, there are 5 people live at this very moment. Now, since I started this Facebook Live, there's probably been about 25, 35 people who have come in and left. Some of them, okay, maybe 1 or 2 of them may come back and watch the replay later and listen or watch the whole thing through. Most people will not. Some of you who are just now tuning in, you will never see the beginning of where this conversation started. And some of you who have been on here from the beginning may drop off and never finish this later. It's just what it is. Okay, Frank says the walking podcast that you do are awesome too, though, because I can consume in more places than, and Frank, I've got gloves on, so I can't click the see more on the rest of the comment, but I totally get where you're coming from. With audio, you can consume it in more places. You can consume the audio podcast while you're driving, while you're washing the dishes, while you're working out. There's just so many places you can listen to the audio. And that's exactly why Mark, by the way, Mark loves, he works in Dallas, Texas. He has a commute to and from work. Traffic is terrible. It's always been terrible. So he's in traffic driving a lot. He does not want to watch video or even fiddle with playing video on YouTube while he's driving. So he will listen to podcasts, audio, but he will not watch video. His daily routine, his lifestyle is not one that is conducive to consume a lot of video content. And that's true of so many of my folks. Okay, Frank says, I have consciously in the past not clicked on your Facebook Live if I see it's no longer live. Exactly. And so, Frank, let me ask you this. If you see that I upload it to my YouTube channel, do you watch it there later? So I'm just curious. But the reality is here's the deal. I know there will be, here's what I can tell you. Let's just say I'm on here for an hour on this Facebook Live, out for a walk. I would assume that regardless of how many views that Facebook tells me I have, and I don't have the analytics because I broadcast this live on my personal page and not my public figure page. And as a result of that, I don't have analytics, and I don't need the analytics to actually know the truth. The truth is that if I'm on here for 1 hour, and Facebook tells me that there were a total of 95 people who joined me live during this broadcast, the reality is probably about 3 to 7 people watched it, a majority of it. At the end of it, after it's finished and the replay is available, if Facebook tells me there were 300 people who watched the replay, I know that what that means is about 4 to 10 people will click on play on the replay. 4 to 10 people will watch the replay all the way through. Now, I got to tell you this. I believe that all 4 to 10 of those people are valuable. And I saw somebody in comments that I respect very highly write a post that's like, listen, they said, if I put it on YouTube, I get 500 people who will watch it all the way through. Or if I put it on Facebook, sure, it says that I get all these views, but the reality with the percentages, that's only 20 people who are going to watch it all the way through on Facebook. And the deduction and the conclusion that was stated was, I'd rather have 300, or I can't remember what I said, but let's just say it's 500 on YouTube, 20 people on Facebook. He said, I'd rather have 500 people watch it all the way through on YouTube than 20 people watch it all the way through on Facebook. Well, you know what? I'd rather have 520 people watch it all the way through and have it both on YouTube and Facebook. That's Cliff Ravenscraft. All right, so the thing is the 20 people on Facebook who would never watch it on YouTube, who would never listen to it in audio, those 20 people matter to me. Did I say something that entertained you, kept you company on a lonely Thanksgiving day? That means a lot to me. Did I say something that all of a sudden was educational for you? Did I say something that all of a sudden that said, hey, wow, I never thought of that. Maybe that's why, maybe I need to implement that, what Cliff just said. And maybe you found something educational. Maybe you were just encouraged, or you were inspired or motivated by something I said somewhere along the way during this Facebook live stream. I have no idea. But maybe there's just something. And if that was valuable to one person, would it have been worth it to be here? Yes. So yeah, I'm still on Facebook. Yeah, I still do Facebook long form. And yeah, if I know that it's not the greatest content in the world to take a recording of a Facebook Live and upload it to a YouTube channel. That's not I know for me, I'd much rather create content specifically for YouTube to put in my YouTube channel. But who knows? There may be somebody that might find this valuable, and I want to share this content. I want to share what I'm thinking, what I'm processing, my mindset as it relates to these things. So I will probably go and put this on YouTube as well. And again, the thing is that YouTube, I may get 150 people who watch the entire 1 hour walk. Let's see. Savannah says, I will go back to a video if there is a how-to aspect to it versus more of the inspirational videos. Okay, cool. So we know what motivates Savannah for him to go and check out a replay or to go back and watch a video. And, everybody's going to have their own motivations. What's going to cause them to take action on consuming content. There are people in my community, they're much more interested in the exact how-to. Give me some details, just the facts, ma'am. I just want to know. Just give me some step-by-step instructions on how to do something. And boy, if you give me Cliff, if you just give me all the technical details of your entire backup solution, how do you manage data and how do you store it? Boy, I know some of you are like, oh, please go there, Cliff. Yeah, not right now. I'll create that content, but that's not what I'm here right now. Right now, I'm here talking about my desire to create more content. Where do I create it? How do I create it? And what do I most want to create? That's where we're heading, my friends. What do I most want to create? And right now, I'm not creating the content that I want to create. I don't want to create this content here the way that I'm doing it right now. But there's a reason why I'm doing it right now, right here. And that is because I have a belief about the type of content that should be created in audio form in a podcast, specifically the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. The reality is that the Cliff Ravenscraft Show is where my largest audience is. Yes, I think there's 8,300 people currently as of today subscribed to my YouTube channel. But the reality is because of how I use YouTube, how my content's all over the place from one video to the next. Some of it's how-to, some of it's encouragement, inspiration, some of it's 10 minutes. Okay, occasionally it might be 10 minutes. Many times it's 38 minutes, an hour. It's ridiculous. So yeah, no, most people are not interested in my YouTube channel. And so I can upload a piece of content there and I might get 145 views within 30 days. Maybe 300. And if it's something like sensational or very topical, maybe 1,500, 2,000 views. Very seldom will that happen. And you know what? I don't do what I do for the mass audience. I do what I do because I just feel led to do it. And whoever finds it, if it helped them, that's awesome. one thing I know is that it definitely helps me to get out and share it, because I grow when I share, and the more I grow, the more value I bring to my audience, and the more value I bring to my clients, the customers that hire me, that are participating in my paid products and services. The more I process, the more I think, the more I'm intentional about the way that I strategize and think about what I'm doing, the more value I add to the people who, well, quite frankly, pay the bills. That allows me to support my family and to support financially my mission in the world, to do what I feel most called to do. So that's why I create what I create. But if I could tell you right now, what do I feel led to create? Most of the time, not video. Not Facebook Lives, not YouTube video, all of that stuff. It's inconvenient most of the time for me. It's inconvenient most of the time for you. With rare exceptions, some people prefer it, I get it. But let me tell you, most of the time, I'm gonna pull something out of my pocket and see if I don't drop everything. My Roland digital audio recorder, handheld audio recorder, me outside, walking right here and talking and sharing. Do you know how much it takes for me to prepare that in advance? None. Absolutely none. Hold on. I have to try to, with my gloves on, put all of that back in my pocket without trailing it all behind me and losing it. So I've zipped up that pocket. I don't see anything on the ground behind me, so I think I'm good. Larry Snow says, happy Thanksgiving. I'm enjoying your whiteboard video series. Well, thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate that. So, okay, here's the deal. So I have my audio recorder. I've been doing audio recorder out for a walk episodes. Well, I've been doing them since early 2006, and I've recorded more than 600 of those episodes, and I love them. It's the content I feel most called to create. It's the content I most love to create. It's not the only content I feel called to create. Let me just tell you, if I never created another Facebook Live, I would not like that. I like to create Facebook Live content. I just don't like to create it often. I don't like that I'm creating it now. I'd prefer to be recording what I'm saying right now into my digital audio recorder, because if I was saying it into my digital audio recorder, my hand wouldn't be cramping. I would not be tethered to that right there. That right there is my Sprint carrier. That right there, that is the carrier that is giving me the internet, or that tower is where I'm getting this internet connection. And I have to stay pretty close to this tower. If I go more than 1.5 miles away from it, the next one's too far away, I drop you guys for 15-20 minutes before I hit the next tower to give me a solid LTE connection. Are the walkcasts always off the top of your head, or do you outline? Frank, great question. Many times, I would say there is no formula. Sometimes I'm like, I go to bed at night and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I would love to share this with my audience. What happened today? What I'm thinking about what happened today, what the decisions I made today, and the bad decisions I made today, the good decisions I made today, the things that I said that, quite frankly, made everything a lot easier and made things more pleasant in my life. I'd love to share that. Oh man, and I said something stupid today, and I wish I could take that back. And man, what I learned from that, and this decision over here, man, what I learned from that. I bet that'd make a great episode. And then I wake up in the morning, and it's, wow, that's fresh on my mind. I bet you that would be a great episode. And it's still the same thing I went to bed thinking about. And quite frankly, I may or may not outline my thoughts. Sometimes I do. I'm like, okay, you know what? That's a great topic for an episode. Let me outline some thoughts. And I will sometimes jot them down in my phone and have them where I can flip through on my phone. Sometimes I will write them down on a 3x5 index card and hold it in my hand so I don't have to flip through my phone. I've printed it into a Google Doc and printed it out because I have an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with text with an outline on the front and the back, and I've had all of that. But then there are episodes like the one that will come out this coming Tuesday in the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And dude, it is an amazing episode, and there is no outline. And all I knew is that I felt like I felt like I want to talk about my recent experience with implementing this principle of trading your expectations for appreciation, and how I had something that, quite frankly, I was tempted to say, man, what does this mean? It means really terrible things for me. It means really terrible things for my business. It means woe is me financially and all of these other things. But the thing is I had already worked everything out through my head, and I just knew that I needed to share to say, hey, if you're not careful, if you hold on to your expectations and you don't allow yourself to shift either your life circumstances or your expectations about how you believe things should go, and reevaluate and say, is there any other way to see this? Is there any other meaning that you can associate to what happened? Is it possible that one day in the future you'll look back and laugh and say, that's the best thing that ever happened to me? And if so, why not choose to make that day of laughing now and stop worrying and stop suffering and do it now? And so that was an episode that I just felt led to record without an outline. That one was right off the top of my head. And, well, that episode's coming out this coming Tuesday in the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, which you can find in your favorite audio podcast directory. Just look up Cliff Ravenscraft. You'll find the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, and it's coming out this coming Tuesday. It's going to be titled Trading Expectation for Appreciation. And it's me walking outside. Now, the reality is that I realize that some people, they would just prefer not to hear me, Cliff Ravenscraft, outside breathing heavy as he's walking. I get that. And you know what? I could have recorded that episode inside my studio and still said it off the top of my head. Or I could record these episodes in my studio with an outline. And not only would the content be amazing, but the audio quality would be amazing. And it would have the greatest likelihood of people consuming it. Now, I'm of the opinion and belief currently that it's going to come out much better. It's going to be better content, not better production value, and not as appealing to as many people. But man, it's going to be the purest form of who I am and what I'm thinking and what I'm believing if I actually speak it as I'm walking while just holding a digital audio recorder in my hand. Yeah, not going to be as appealing to as many people, but boy, it'll be the purest form of what I am and who I am, how I show up in the world. And that's the content I most feel called to create. And the problem I have is right now, kind of just want to record one of those every single day. And I've done this before. When I had this podcast called Pursuing a Balanced Life, there's a reason why I had over 600 of those episodes, because I, at times, recorded it daily. Sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, and thereabouts, some shorter, some less than those time frames. But the reality is that almost daily, I would put that content out. And I am in a season right now where I feel led to create content almost daily, if not daily. And I don't know how long this season will last, but man, I love creating content. But what I've been doing is I've been intentionally, up until this past week, I've been limiting the audio podcast to one episode per week, no more, no less, of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And I've been attempting to make sure that Cliff Ravenscraft Show has the highest production value. So it's always got the audio intro and branding, and it's got the in-studio sound and stuff like that. But quite frankly, what I was creating recently just wasn't gelling with me. And so I've been tampering with the format of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. For those of you who are subscribed, you know that. Larry says, your authentic self, vibrant, motivational, inspirational. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. not everybody likes the most authentic version of Cliff Ravenscraft. And I'm okay with that, quite frankly. Yeah, it bums me to know that there are some people who will not benefit from some of the other content that I will create that they would enjoy. But the reality is that there's this scene from A Few Good Men where they talk about the truth. It's like, you want the truth? I'll tell you this, you can't handle the truth. You want the content Cliff wants to create? You want the content I don't think you can handle the authentic Cliff Ravenscraft. There's only a few that will. And part of me has been thinking, well, maybe I just create the content for those who will. And you know, the thing is when I went from when I shut down the Cliff Ravenscraft show, or Pursuing a Balanced Life, which became the Cliff Ravenscraft show, and then I actually shut all of that down and brought it over, and I said, hey, we're rebranding the podcast Answer Man as I lost so many people through that rebranding, you know, but I still have a few thousand people who listen to the Cliff Ravenscraft show today. And the reality is that many of them are still holding on to and hanging out and hoping that, you know, that there'll be less and less of Cliff just randomly talking about things that are on his mind and going on in his life and what he's thinking and feeling and how he's processing things. And he'll stick to the technical how-to detailed stuff. And quite frankly, I want to do both, but I want to do a lot of the just walking and talking stuff. But I'm afraid to lose those that would leave if I did more of that. Elmer says, you already have 1,000 true fans for the content you create in whatever format. That is true, Elmer. That is absolutely true. And there's so much. I was just listening to the Akimbo podcast with Seth Godin, based upon the recommendation of my friend Ray Edwards. And I was listening to him re-emphasize the power of, I think it was his first official episode, the one where you don't have the grand opening or the major kickoff campaign. And he re-emphasized the power of 1,000 true fans. And I have the 1,000 true fans. You know, the 1,000 people who will follow me for whatever. And at the same time, I'm like thinking about my vision of the future and all the other stuff. It's, when I think about all of the things that I feel called to do, you know, it would require that my audience grow, because I have a vision of the future reaching a much larger audience. But I wonder if my trying to not lose the people who are not true fans, but only pseudo fans, who are there for they're not there for the authentic Cliff Ravenscraft and what my true calling and mission and purpose in the world is. They're only there for what they can glean from the how-to, the technical wisdom, knowledge, and experience that I have. I wonder if my trying to hold on to them is going to keep me from having what will ultimately be my big breakthrough. And that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm wondering. And here's what I've been doing. So I've been doing some weird, messed up stuff with the conversations I've been having with people. Some of them are okay. Not the people, just my approach to it. Some of them are okay. There have been a couple that have been really good. I've got one coming out next Friday with Sarah Warner. Off the charts awesome. Man, I can't wait till you guys get to hear that. Elmer says the true fans will go out and tell everyone about you. I'm not sure what the pseudo fans will do. Yeah, thank you, Elmer. I agree with that. And this is where me being out here processing this, I'm actually thinking, it's like, okay, but let me tell you what I'm doing. So I've got this, right now I've been releasing every episode, every Friday, in studio stuff. As far as I'm concerned, the content quality of what I was releasing on a weekly basis on Fridays, it had been going, I feel like it's been going down in quality. My fault, and I'm working on that. I am. But the thing is then I started playing around with my digital audio recorder. And so this week on Tuesday, I released a handheld digital audio recording of me out for a walk. And I talked about my history with the audio journal format and my history with the digital audio recorder. And I also shared something, some thoughts about my format of the show and how I've been, working out those details. I think that was an excellent piece of content. For me, it's what I felt called to create. And yes, it's me out and walking and talking as I'm holding a digital audio recorder. But man, that is me. That's the authentic, true me. And there will still be times where the authentic, true me wants to sit down in front of my Heil PR40 and say it with my pure, absolutely crystal clear audio quality. And that's going to be the best way for me to share what's on my heart at that moment in time. So there's a question about the score method. I don't think I can't scroll down without taking my gloves off, and it just told me, somebody else just popped in and told me that they did. So I'm just going to assume that the question, all I see is score method ? And I love the score method, but there are times when the score method isn't what I feel led to do. Trust me, I believe all communication, if it was scored, would probably be better, but it's not always what I feel called to do. It's scoring my talk, scoring my content, while it would probably be the most respectful thing for me to do for my audience, is to sit down and score it. I guess what I'm saying is sometimes what I feel most called to do is not the most respectful thing for my audience, but to do what I think is going to be best for me to get out what I need to say and how I feel led to say it at this moment in time, if that makes any sense at all. So with that, anyway, this car was getting ready to turn. I guess he's like stopped, but I think it's because this car behind me. Anyway, so yeah. So anyway, I recorded that on Tuesday and I put it out. The very next day, or at least 2 or 3 days later, I felt led to record another piece of audio recorder content. And I just recorded it, I believe, yesterday. And oh my gosh, it is awesome. I intentionally started off. So the episode called Trading Expectation for Appreciation. I'm going to cross the street here. Tim Schmoyer says he's probably just wondering who you're talking to. Actually, he was just waiting to turn in there. But yeah, there's those who are wondering that too. Hey, Tim, glad to have you on here, brother. Happy Thanksgiving, man. So here's the situation. The episode that I just recorded yesterday, titled Trading Expectation for Appreciation, I share some very raw, very authentic, very transparent information and details and feelings about something that just happened in my business. And you know what? I intentionally started that episode. I mean, it was a very strategic, intentional way of starting that episode. I did not go into detail about what I was going to talk about, the importance of what I was going to talk about. And instead, for the first 5.5 minutes, I talked about how cold it was. I talked about myself, my fingers and how cold they were and how my toes were freezing. I mean, I literally, it's like the first 4 minutes of that content was absolutely to weed out the casual fans. I mean, it's like by the time I really transitioned into what I was really led to talk about, pouring my heart and soul into a digital audio recorder, that's what you guys are going to get on Tuesday. But guess what? I weeded out all the casual fans first. They're like, dude, this guy's rambling. Who cares how cold it is? Just get on with the point already. And those people, by the time I really get into what I wanted to share, those people have already tuned out. Some of them unsubscribed. I hate the thought of that, but I'm coming to the point where they're just not the true fans. And I want to create the content for the true fans, because the true fans are the ones who are going to say, guys, you have to go listen to this. Hey, put up with the first 5 minutes. Start 5 minutes in, but listen to what Cliff shares here. I never heard somebody so open about a failure or what most people would consider a failure, and how he originally saw it as a failure, but how he's turned around. It's like, mind blown. Go listen to this episode. That's what's coming out on Tuesday. And that episode, it wouldn't have happened in studio. I mean, I could have made it happen in it, but it wouldn't have been what you're going to get on Tuesday. That's all I got to say. So I recorded that yesterday, and that was just recorded. The thing is, you know, one came out this Tuesday, then there's an in studio coming out on Friday, and there's already an in studio with Sarah Warner coming out next Friday. That's already scheduled, and there's an episode for the next Friday already scheduled in studio. But But the thing is I just put out a out and about episode this past Tuesday. There's already the one I recorded yesterday that I've been telling you about. That's going to come out next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. And, well, quite frankly, I wanted to record what I'm sharing with you right now as a digital audio recording. But I'm not. Because this, if I already feel like I'm putting out too much content, this wouldn't go out not this coming Tuesday, but it would be a week Tuesday. And I don't know. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if the Cliff Ravenscraft show sometimes was 2 days a week, sometimes it's 3 or 4 days a week, sometimes it's 1 day a week. I wonder what would happen. Anyway, Elmer says, I feel sometimes I was performing for the casual fans. However, with the true fans, I am. And then I get a see more message. Let's see here. You can never put out too much content, Frank says. See, Frank, you're a true fan. Elmer's a true fan. And I think I have at least 1,000 true fans. But there's something that can go on in your mind about this idea of switching things up and going from thousands of downloads per episode to about 1,000. What happens if I decide to be the true, authentic Cliff Ravenscraft and start pushing out 3 or 4 episodes a week of the Cliff Ravenscraft show? What if I start bumping into, 800 downloads per episode? Yikes! Anyway, that's what's on my mind. It's getting dark out here. Boy, if this was audio, check that. See that? Full moon. Full moon. Yeah. It's right. Hold on, mirrored. Right there. That's the moon. It's beautiful from here. I don't know if you can see it as being as beautiful as what I see, but it's getting dark. Elmer says less is more. That's exactly right. There's so many things to balance, so many things to think of. And these are the things that I'm thinking of. Let's see here. Tim says, I could look out my window and see it, but it's easier just to look at it here. There you go, Tim. And here's the sunset over here. Just for you. And there's my mom. Hello, Mom. Happy Thanksgiving. Just out for my walk after dinner. You and I were walking after dinner last year. I miss you. And hope you're having a good time in Florida with PJ. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. Tim says, thanks, now I don't need to get up. You're welcome. All right. This was fun. Hello, Stefan. Glad to have you here. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want you to know this. On Thanksgiving Day 2018, I am thankful for each and every one of you. I'm thankful for you, those of you who are true fans. I thank you. I'm thankful for the casual fans that are out there as well, that pop in from time to time. And I don't have all the answers on what I'm going to do just yet. I know that I feel led and called and I desire to create more content. And I don't know how to figure out how much content and in what format to put it into the Cliff Ravenscraft show just yet, but I just know that I'm tinkering over there. And for right now, this is a Facebook Live, and I'm about ready to take my glove off so that I can end this thing with my capacitive touch from my fingers and hopefully save this to my camera roll so that I can then port it over to my computer so that I can upload it to my YouTube channel and go find a thumbnail. I know. Woe is me. And it is. But boy, if this was an audio episode, do you know how easy it'd be just to put this thing online and release it? Whew. Yeah, I wish this was an audio episode. I really do. But the thing is those of you who have been watching live, some of you may have never caught any of this because, well, you're not subscribed to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And, well, my call to action for you, what are you waiting for? Head over to any podcasting application. My favorite, by the way, is Pocket Casts. Pocket Casts. All right? Go to pocketcasts.com and sign up for an account there. Download the app on your iPhone or Android device, either one. Pocket Casts, hands down, is the single best audio podcasting and video podcasting application on the planet. Highly recommend it. Download the app and subscribe to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. Elmer says, let's see here. What is on that hat? This is my Doctor Who hat. So any of you who are Doctor Who fans, it is the TARDIS right there, my police call box. And Elmer says, great content. You made me want to create as much content as I could. Awesome. Until next time, my friends, I encourage you to take every area of your life, including your strategy and thought process and belief system about creating content for your true fans, to the next level. Talk to you soon, and happy Thanksgiving.